All right, let's talk a little bit about apostrophe. We're not talking about the grammatical mark that indicates possession or a contraction, that sort of thing. But we're talking about apostrophe as a figure of speech. So let's remind ourselves again of what our definition of figure of speech is. It is any intentional deviation from ordinary language to produce a rhetorical effect. It is used to stir the audience to a greater emotional response than could be accomplished through ordinary language. So that's our definition, our working definition all along as to what a figure of speech is. So when we get to apostrophe then, apostrophe is when the speaker turns aside from his subject matter to address another who may be present in fact or in imagination. The addressee might be an inanimate object, a concept, or they might even be deceased. So that's the definition of apostrophe. If you remember the TV show The Office, and you remember that people would be having a conversation, and then they would turn and look at the camera and make comments as if there was another person in the room, the cameraman, and it didn't seem to bother us very much. So, as it turns out, that's kind of, those little Shakespearean asides are good examples of apostrophe. The speaker is perhaps speaking in third person, and then turns to address somebody else who may in fact be there, or may not in fact be there, but only in the person's imagination. So let's take a look, if we can, at Psalm 114. And there are a couple of examples in this short psalm of what we're talking about. So let me read the psalm for you. When Israel went out from Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of strange language, Judah became his sanctuary, and Israel his dominion. Now, the people, listen to what we hear happening with the sea and the mountains in these next four verses. Notice how the description goes from third person to second person, because that's the figure of speech we're calling apostrophe. The sea looked and fled, Jordan turned back. The mountains skipped like rams, and the hills like lambs. What ails you, O sea, that you flee? O Jordan, that you turn back? O mountains, that you skip like rams, or hills like lambs? So the verses 3 and 4, those first two, refer to the mountains and the hills as skipping like rams and moving like lambs, and it mentions them in the third person. Then it turns to address them particularly and says, so what ails you that you do the things you do that were just described in verses 3 and 4. So 5 and 6 is apostrophe. They're turning to speak specifically, even though we are talking about not human beings. We've got seas and we've got mountains, but we are speaking to them and asking them what ails them. So that's the idea of apostrophe, that the writer is addressing one concern, and then for a moment he turns, as if there's another camera there, he turns and speaks to someone else. And in this case, it was mountains and hills. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about when we talk about apostrophe. If you want to read more examples of apostrophe, you could find them by looking up apostrophe in Bollinger's Figures of Speech. Hopefully you'll, or I want to let you know, there are some videos online as well that talk about genre in Scripture. And we're drawing those lessons from Leland Ryken's series of books, Reading the Bible as Literature. So both of those are great resources, and look forward to introducing them to you. Thanks for being here.